Hi, Rich Hoffman here. Let's talk about Emily Nutley. April 2025, Cincinnati area. She was a teacher at St. X, a very popular Catholic school, well known. She lives in a community near my house, so I know the type. But she was caught having sex with a student of hers, a 17-year-old, and there's a whole lot that goes on. We talk about these cases all the time, and I didn't talk about this one initially. There's so many other things going on in the world, and this one is a common problem. But what's interesting about her, she did plead guilty to it on at least 2 of the counts, and I'm sure there's a lot of good reasons why. Prosecutor Powers is someone I respect a lot, and so I understand prosecuting this case and really throwing the book at her. These things are happening all the time, and I look at it as a condition of the circumstances. It's very difficult to put women who are at the end of their birthing cycle in a room full of vibrant young males that are full of life and energy. She had, I don't know what kind of life she had, but she looked on the outside to have a pretty good life, lives in Mason, nice professional couple, married, had 3 kids. And a case like this, and you watch her plead guilty to it, you just know that, her life is over. Her kids will never forgive her. It's a horrendous thing to happen, and to trade it all away for some sexual escapade with some 17-year-old kid is beyond stupid. And she's a teacher. She was a very well-respected teacher. And to have all that in front of her and to throw it away over such frivolous things, you have to ask a lot of questions about the system itself. And so in my head, I've already scrapped this system years ago. I don't see any hope for it because of the nature of the relationships. You really can't trust anybody to be around anybody at any time. And watching her talk, I actually knew a teacher like that. The Spanish teacher I knew growing up, and she definitely had the hots to trot, and we knew it. And a group of my friends would joke about it. Our name for her was because she taught Spanish. Our name for her was Senorita Slut, because she was obviously ready to go with whoever wanted to take her on. And she was about the same age, and she would act like she wanted to come over and help you with your homework, and she would unbutton her top of her shirt so you could see down her shirt and see all she had. It was very obvious what she was up to, and she wasn't the only one. Guys know which of the unhappy wives that are teaching and are looking to do a little extra homework at their house. And that was back in the 80s when I went to school. It's only now that you've lowered the presumption of that kind of thing, it's happening more often. And schools try to cover it up as much as they can when they get busted, or you get a very aggressive prosecutor like Samantha Powers on the case. They'll push it. But you have to have a preponderance of evidence. You really has to be a lot of elements come together to even prosecute these cases. If someone doesn't whistleblow, then they never get caught. And it's happening right now. It's happening everywhere. In this case, this is a very, again, a smart woman, married with 3 kids, living in an exclusive neighborhood in northern Cincinnati. And she's teaching at a well-respected school. Really everything's out there for her. She's the typical kind of person that you see in the teaching profession. Hey, let's give special recognition to the great teachers because they save lives by saving people and all that kind of thing. Meanwhile, they're undressing students with their with their intentions as they're working with them, because they're humans, and you put a bunch of those types of people in a room and it's hard to resist. And most people can say no. In her case, when she got busted, she blamed her husband. He's not giving me what I need, and he's not taking care of me sexually. And what do you expect out of someone? You have 3 kids, and you're working hard, and you're going to all the social things in your neighborhood, and that kind of part of your life tends to take a back seat. And women, when they get to be 40, 45, into that childbearing age, and you define your entire life, all your life, as being able to have children and raise children, there's a lot of psychology that goes into, hey, here's some young guys that are the same age as my kids, and I wish I could renew my youth and have some relationship with these people. So you throw better judgment completely recklessly out the window and do diabolical, stupid things, which really invalidates potential employment. In her case, she started contacting this student through text messages. Before you know it, you're sending naked pictures of yourself to somebody, and which never should do, ever, because once you do that, it's out there in the whole world and it's going to see it. Then you start meeting and touching and doing things, and now you've got all kinds of problems. So she ruined her life over this, and I feel sorry for her, because undoubtedly it's a whole series of things that added up to it. I always feel sorry for the people who get themselves involved. I think on the sake of the guy, I mean, you're a 17-year-old, and you have some teacher throwing themselves at you, sending naked pictures. It might be fun for a while, and it wears out pretty fast, because she starts attaching to you and you're wanting to move on to something else. In the case of Senorita Slut that I referred to, I mean, why would you want to spend time with somebody who's aging and has a lot of flaws? I mean, she might look decent from 10 feet away, but once you start getting up to touching skin, a lot of the 17-year-old girls are a lot more pleasant to deal with than someone who's 45 when you're 17. So it wasn't hard for a lot of those people that I talked to that would refer to her as Senorita Slut, friends of mine. Wasn't hard to resist that temptation. But for her, she was definitely climbing the walls, looking for opportunities galore. And she wasn't the only one. And I'd say that it's far worse now than it was then. So there's a lot of people like this teacher out there. And we take our kids to these schools and we drop them off, and we hope that it all works out fine. But they're people and human beings. When you put flawed human beings in a room together, bad things are typically going to happen, and you just can't turn away and trust that everything's going to be fine. Say, oh, she's an accredited teacher, oh, she has a master's degree in this or that, or oh, she lives in a very nice community, so she would never think to do something like that. Oh, she's got 3 lovely kids, oh, she would never do anything like that. Well, she did. She threw it all away for for a 17-year-old at the time, and a sexual encounter that she was obviously willing to go all in on. And there really shouldn't be anything in the world that could provoke someone to do something like that. You would always expect better judgment to prevail, but it obviously doesn't, and it certainly didn't in her case. And we shake our heads at it and say, oh, how could anybody be that stupid? And then you see the pain of having to admit guilt in front of the judge. When her dad's there in the courtroom, you can imagine what that is like. I mean, if you're the father, this is what you raised your kid to be. She had it all and she threw it away for what? And I think most people who get themselves involved in these sexual relationships say the same thing. How many times there's people who go through divorces like, what did I ever see in that person? As you're going through the divorce? But at some point in time, you put yourself in a vulnerable position by engaging in sexual activity, which is a very vulnerable thing to do with another person. And you trusted them to some point, whether you should or not, you did. And we built our education system around this nonsense. This isn't an isolated incident. What schools have done in order to avoid the problem is go into cover-up mode every time they find out it happens. And when people start screaming about it, and in this case, I think the students one that said something, and it's why the case moved forward. But a lot of times, the student's not saying anything. He's just treating it like another date and moving on and saying, well, I didn't quite get my A. But it's a real problem, and it has been as long as we've had the profession going. And she won't be the last one. And she's one that got caught. But I guarantee you that a large percentage of these relationships are happening all the time. Whether it's a male teacher and female students, or the other way around, a female not having a lot of sex in her life because she's at a stage in her marriage and family building where it's just not something that you can do all the time. And you're in an environment with people starting their life, and all that stuff is coming on for the first time, and it's vivacious, and they find it exciting, but they can't quite develop enough logic to turn off the spigot and say no. The process of saying, you know what, I think I'm going to contact this kid, and we're going to meet for some cookies and milk somewhere, and I'm going to send him some naked pictures and see where that goes. What process in the world does anybody who's supposed to be reasonably intelligent think that that's proper? And then to have to stand there in a courtroom and admit guilt to it, with her dad there to support her, the husband divorced her, and kids are going to feel what they're going to feel about it for the rest of their lives, and she's going to be registered as a sex offender. But what's that do? What's that do for anybody? There's so much wrong with it. That's why it took me a little time. I put it in the back of my mind to kind of come to it, because it reminds me of so many cases, reminds me of so many administrators. And when they have been busted, everybody just goes into cover-up mode because they really don't know how to deal with the psychology of the problem. Well, you have women in the workplace, put them to work. Okay, there's a bunch of students, go teach them. And go over the corner, we're going to throw you endless amounts of money. I think this tuition at St. X right now is $18,000 a year. So we're going to throw endless amounts of money at this teaching and teach these kids something. And meanwhile, you get the primal urges of biology taking over, and nobody thinking straight about anything. You kind of expect a 17-year-old to be like, well, okay, if I can get a decent grade, I'm gonna have a sexual relationship with this teacher. She don't look too bad. She sent me some naked pictures. Okay, cool. But for the teacher, for the adult, whatever the urges are, you're supposed to rationally overcome them, and be more than they are, be higher than the animal powers, and resist temptation. And too often, because we have a political system and a psychological system in our emerging human species that says yield to those animal powers, don't control them, you end up with a teaching profession that is detrimental to education of students. And we really haven't come to deal with the inherent problem of what we're supposed to be teaching kids. And that's, don't yield to animal powers, overcome them. And when a teacher violates that trust, they've done a lot more to damage that person for the rest of their lives than not having the education at all. And it leaves us scratching our heads and wondering how to handle it. And I'm just saying, as long as you put those elements together, you're going to continue to have these problems, and there's no easy solution to any of them. And people's lives will be ruined continuously. And that's certainly the case with this teacher. So I do feel sorry for her. She should have never done it, but her life is over more or less because of it, and that's a shame. I think the kid will move on. His life will go, in whatever direction he chooses for it to go. But for her, it's the end, and that's sad. Anyway, it's Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. And we have a good day, and see you later.